Hey guys, I'm back again. You see, I'm trying to redeem myself. I'm trying to do better. So yeah, I've got another video. We're gonna talk theory, business theory. I don't know. It's a theory. We're gonna unpack it. Let's go. Come, let's go.
Are you listening? Damn.
So yesterday I was on a call with one of my friends because he's just graduated. Congratulations! He just got his MBA from a very esteemed. Gosh, he'd be so embarrassed by me. A really highly esteemed institution, and I'm really proud of him. And we're just making plans for how we're going to celebrate as the collective. And in all of that, I got inspired to get into this topic because I feel like this was a concept or a topic that we discussed that I found very, very interesting. And I wanted to share it with you guys. And I think I want to put it in, again, media context and look at a real world, not real world, but an example of how this can show up in the landscape of media and advertising. Uh, oh, okay, I should probably close my door. But yes, let's get into it. Okay, so here's a scenario. You have put a campaign together, client has approved it, everyone is happy, everyone's excited, it goes live, and in the first quarter of the campaign, it's not doing as well as you thought it would. It's not doing as well as people were anticipating, and now you've got two options. You either zoom in and see what exactly is going wrong in the campaign, so which media platform or um, whatever option or choice you've made in your planning is not doing well for you, or you can zoom out and look at the bigger picture and think, okay, what is wrong with this entire system or this entire um, playbook we put together for this campaign, right? And that's essentially where this theory or this concept starts to come in. And this difference that I'm referring to is the difference between a root cause analysis versus your systems thinking. And these approaches really do help you understand how to solve a problem and deep dive into what the problem is exactly. Now, we'll get into these into more detail because they are concepts that work very well hand in hand, but the key is understanding when to apply which and which scenarios ask for it. So let's get into this and understand and unpack exactly when and how do you apply root cause analysis versus systems thinking approach for problem solving in your campaigns. Okay, so here's Okay, now let's get into the definitions a little bit, just quick fast. Root cause analysis is the detective work. This is where you start to really dig deep and understand what in your system or your wider network is not working for you, right? And here you can use tools like the five whys or your fishbone diagram in order to get to the root of the issue. And it shows itself in situations like, for example, you are in sales and you've got a website and you are trying to push 5,000 units for this week. But now you're seeing that you're not quite getting to your daily targets and you're wondering, okay, in fact, it's actually stopping. Your sales are not going through. People are getting onto your website, but sales are not going through. Now, this is where you do a root cause analysis because you want to understand where people are dropping off. They are engaging, they are participating, but where are they dropping off and not fulfilling their ultimate purchase? And if you do a root cause analysis, this is where you start to understand and deep dive into where the drop off is happening. And you'll start to see things like, for example, the checkout page keeps on crashing when people try to pay for their items. And that gives you a simple solution: fix the checkout page. And once you've done that, your experience for your users becomes more seamless and you'll start to see those purchases being fulfilled and your order numbers coming in and thus your target being met. And that is a root cause analysis. It's really just about investigating what in the process is not working and then fixing that issue so that the process becomes more seamless. And in media and advertising or branding, this looks like your website journey just being glitchy, or this looks like a campaign that's not performing as well because you've selected an influencer whose audience is maybe on a different platform, or maybe you didn't select the right influencer. But again, it shows up in different ways, and you need to have that discernment to understand what it is that you need to use. Root cause analysis, we're digging deep and we're trying to understand what exactly is wrong in the process. And yeah, that's pretty much what that is. Okay, now, with systems thinking, we have a different lens that we're looking at things, right? So instead of saying what caused this single event, we start to ask questions like, how do all these moving parts contribute to a pattern that we're seeing over time, right? And it's less about pointing fingers and more so about understanding how everything connects with each other and how they relate. And in the same example, like we use for root cause analysis, where we say the website page might be crashing in terms of the checkout page, right? We might be seeing crash on the checkout page and we solve that. But now systems thinking goes further into, okay, we fixed that page, but we're still not seeing else reach the target that we had anticipated, right? Traditionally, we know that during summer we are able to push 5,000 units, like I said earlier, right? But now we're only getting up to 3,000. And now you, with systems thinking, this is where you start to ask yourself questions around, okay, what are competitors doing? What other external factors are contributing to this downward trend that we're seeing in our sales value or sales figures? So you start to then apply a network approach, or like it implies a systems approach, in how everything relates to one another and impacts one another, as opposed to looking at an isolated event or occurrence, right? And these, like I said earlier, work together, and they're not necessarily an either or approach that you're deciding on. It is more about having, again, that discernment to understand when to apply which solution. Like in the example I provided earlier with the root cause, yes, we identified a problem in the process. So the journey was glitching. We fixed the glitch, but we're still seeing a problem. So that's when we now start to apply that systems thinking to say, okay, let's step back and start to see what else could be impacting or contributing to things that we're seeing in our sales figures, right? So system thinking is more about not just saying, let's fix the checkout point alone. It's more so, let's look at the deeper issue and understand the system that's shaping the results that we're getting at the end of the day. And yeah, I hope that gives you like a better understanding of what the two theories mean. And let's go a little bit further into unpacking this. Now, all right, so quick way to look at it, and excuse the squeaky chair, but anyway, root cause analysis, we're basically solving one problem with one solution, and we're zooming in. We are the detective. We are trying to figure out where the kink is, right? We're searching for that bottleneck. And with the systems thinking, now here we're zooming out and we're trying to understand the patterns over long term, right? This is about looking at how external factors are also contributing to the conditions that we're seeing, right? So we've got both of these, and both of these are very useful. The only problem is when you start to use them at the wrong time. And in media or advertising, how you'd see this play out, for example, like I mentioned earlier, right? We've got this influencer campaign, and we're seeing that it's not performing well. So we've got two ways of looking at this, right? We can either go the root cause analysis way and look at what is the issue, right? Is it that we just have the wrong influencer, and maybe we need to switch up our influencer? Maybe let's just scrap it for now and we'll revisit that, right? So that becomes the conversation. And on the other end, you've got the systems thinking approach, right? And with this one, now we start to zoom out and we start to ask ourselves, okay, is it that our influencers' audience is shifting from one platform to another? So are they now on TikTok as opposed to Instagram? Before, Instagram really worked with us with this influencer. Why is it not working anymore? So probably because the audience has also shifted as trends and, again, external factors start to influence the market, right? So you've got these two approaches, and that's kind of how they play. So you see how, again, we apply these two principles, theories, I don't know, bruh, these two things in different ways. Where root cause analysis, we're looking at the single incident or single situation that is causing a kink in the system. And then with systems thinking, now we're zooming out and starting to understand, okay, what is contributing externally to these conditions? And ideally, you want to do an RCA very periodic, like very regularly, because this is something you do as you optimize a campaign and stuff like that, right? You want to be able to pick up on those small kinks throughout the process. But as you're doing long-term strategy building, that's when you start to think about systems thinking approaches, because then you start to consider the long-term patterns, right? When you do strat planning, you're doing it for a long period. So therefore you need to reference a long period when, you know, trying to figure out your approach, right? Because you need to know what worked, what didn't work, and again, what other factors externally impacted to it not working and working at that point in time. And then you start to now think, okay, going forward, if conditions were to remain the same, this is how we would do it. And then again, if Murphy's Law, life is life, again, you always got to optimize. You then start to incorporate your RCA throughout that process. So it's kind of like a weaving pattern. It works, they work in tandem, but in different moments. And you need to have that discernment to figure out which moments call for which tools to do the deep dive or to solve the problem, right? Okay, cool. And yeah, like I said, we're redesigning systems. On the other end, we are just solving a singular issue. And yeah, okay, cool. I hope that makes sense. Congratulations, you made it to the end. Let's wrap it up, guys. So root cause analysis, again, like I said, it's a quick fix. We're just trying to solve the problem now and get results now, right? Whereas your systems thinking, this is long-term resilience building, growth strategy approach to things. You're looking at the future and you're trying to figure out how to do better than what you've done before. And that's the basic difference. Both of these things very, very valuable. They just are relevant at different times, at different points of your conversation with clients or whichever stakeholders you're engaging with for this particular topic. And yeah, I think this was a worthwhile conversation, and I would like to get into like maybe two more videos unpacking this theory a little bit more for you guys. If you're interested, let me know. And also, if this is something that you are using, please let me know how are you applying this for yourselves and how this has helped you, or maybe how you have used it and it didn't necessarily work for you. Maybe you used the wrong approach for the wrong scenario. Share your stories, and let me know, guys. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for more, guys. Bye.
Are you
Congratulations, you made
listening?
it to the end.
Damn. Yeah.